Hello, I'm Regini Vaidyanathan. A huge manhunt is continuing in the American state of Utah for the killer of the right-wing political activist Charlie Kirk. The FBI has released new footage of the suspect fleeing the scene just moments after the shooting. A black T-shirt with American flag and Converse trainers have been highlighted as distinctive features of the suspect who fatally shot the 31-year-old on Wednesday. Well, the body of Charlie Kirk, who was close to President Trump and part of his inner circle, has been flown back to his home state of Arizona. Well, his family were accompanied by the US Vice President, J.D. Vance. Hundreds of law enforcement agents have been combing through the university campus for further evidence, as our correspondent Neda Tawfiq reports from Utah.
A new angle of the moment the gunman flees the scene after firing the fatal shot that killed Charlie Kirk. This video, along with new pictures of the suspect taken in a stairwell, have been released as authorities continue to hunt for the killer into a second day. Forensics teams were on the deserted campus combing through the crime scene and the gunman's elevated position on a rooftop. Here, you get a sense of his clear view of the stage where Charlie Kirk was debating a student before he shot him in the neck. Charlie Kirk's body has now been flown back from Utah to his native state of Arizona on Air Force Two. Vice President J.D. Vance accompanied the 31-year-old's family on the journey. President Donald Trump plans to attend Charlie Kirk's funeral. Earlier, speaking to reporters, he urged nonviolence a day after blaming the, quote, radical left for the killing of the right-wing activist.
He was an advocate of nonviolence. That's the way I'd like to see people respond. I spoke to Erica, his wife, and we had a long talk, and she's devastated. She is absolutely devastated, as you can imagine.
The FBI has offered a $100,000 reward for information, but without any new breakthroughs in the case or insight into the gunman's motive, speculation is rife online, something that worries Utah's governor.
Our adversaries want violence. China, we have bots from Russia, China, all over the world that are trying to instill disinformation and encourage violence. I would encourage you to ignore those, to turn off those streams, and to spend a little more time with our families.
At this park in Orem, hundreds have gathered to pay their final respects to Charlie Kirk. He wasn't the only victim. These last few days have been incredibly difficult for the community, and especially the students who witnessed his killing. So this, a moment of unity during tense times. Neda Tawfiq, BBC News in Orem, Utah.
Well, the new video footage, which has been released by the FBI, shows the suspect in the killing of Charlie Kirk running across a roof from where that fatal shot was fired before dropping to the ground and crossing a road. Well, as the authorities continue their search, BBC Verify's Nick Beake's been looking at the footage and about what we know so far about how the suspect escaped.
New footage released by the FBI shows a figure running across a roof from where Charlie Kirk was shot dead, reaching the edge and then jumping down, apparently carrying a bag, before briskly walking away from the chaos unfolding on campus.
The hunt for Charlie Kirk's killer entered a second night. Special agents gathering evidence here at Utah Valley University and elsewhere. So what do we know about the investigation so far?
The FBI have released these new, sharper images of someone they're calling a person of interest, but they still haven't given a name. BBC Verify used face search engines to try to identify him from an earlier image to see whether there could be a match online. But even though you can see more of his face, the image is too grainy and the sunglasses make it even more difficult. In the initial chaos after the fatal shooting, an earlier video captured what appears to be a person on a rooftop running away. The FBI says the bullet was fired from this building, the Lucy Center, some 130 meters away from where Charlie Kirk was speaking. The new CCTV appears to show a person heading for this road, called Campus Drive. Investigators say they recovered a weapon, a rifle, over the road. We think it could be in this wooded area here.
Beyond the campus, investigators have been working to pick up the killer's trail, but there are clues left behind at the scene.
Drone footage shows the campus frozen in time. Here, on the roof of the Lucy Centre, you can see these indentations, highlighted with these orange markers. The FBI have said they found palm prints and footprints. From this elevated spot, it was a clear shot towards Charlie Kirk. Nick Beak, BBC News, in Utah.
Well, Charlie Kirk has been credited with helping Donald Trump win the youth vote in the 2024 US presidential election, partly thanks to his engagement in debates and forums. He was one of the most influential and prolific conservative activists and media personalities in America, was also a highly polarising figure. Here's a bit more on who Charlie Kirk was and what he believed, in his own words.
My position on abortion is unpopular in my country. I don't want to scare you guys too much. I am in the vast minority of my own political party on this issue, proudly, because I'm morally correct. I'm on the right side of history. When all the chips are down and when all the biology is settled, it will be very simple and very clear that we have made every excuse in the book to try to eliminate life smaller than us for simply inconveniences. Trump has ordered DEI to be torn down. But I want him to tear it down faster. I want every university told that they're losing all federal dollars immediately if they don't stop racial discrimination. I want the Department of Justice to start auditing every federal contractor to find DEI and shut off contracts immediately wherever we find it. This is a kind of cancer that cannot be phased out. It must be ripped out from the core.
We should have an honest and clear reductionist view of gun violence, but we should not have a utopian one. You will never live in a society when you have an armed citizenry and you won't have a single gun death. That is nonsense. It's drivel. Wow. But I think it's worth it. I think it's worth to have a cost of, unfortunately, some gun deaths every single year so that we can have the Second Amendment to protect our other God-given rights.
Charlie Kirk, in his own words. Well, let's speak to Jack Ross, the Chief Executive of Turning Point UK. That's an affiliate organisation, of course, of Turning Point USA, which, of course, Charlie Kirk founded in America back in 2012. Jack, welcome to BBC News. Unfortunate circumstances which bring us to talk to you. First of all, our condolences to you and all your members who are mourning Charlie Kirk. You've met him before. How would you describe the loss in your words?
Thank you very much for having me on and for covering this in such extensive detail. We're shocked at Turning Point UK, horrified really. Charlie was a fantastic man. He was a very kind man as well. And I know you talked about a lot of controversial issues, but he didn't do this from a place of hate. His philosophy was, if we don't talk about controversial or important issues, genuine extremists will. And then you embolden them by not being silent about emotional topics as such. And likewise, his viewpoint was not so much to demonize or stigmatize people, it was to try and provide people with solutions to genuine problems. But certainly we're heartbroken. Charlie gave us everything in this country. He set us up. He's responsible actually for, via us, a lot of the political discourse in Britain, as well as making a lot of careers. But we are rattled, and it's so wrong that he was killed whilst reaching out to people. He genuinely believed in reaching across the political divide. He didn't believe in violence. His discussion was to encourage debate, and you can watch his clips. They'd always end with both him and the other person thanking each other, or in the majority of cases. And said he wanted to make the world a better place, and certainly we're worse off without him.
You've met Charlie before. I just wanted to get your personal tribute to him and what it was like when you met him.
Charlie was an incredible man. He's someone who can never be stumped, and that's what really impressed me about him, where we'd always ask him for advice and information, even about quite niche issues in Britain, and he'd always be able to give a fantastic answer. He was incredibly well educated, despite not going to university himself. And I think that was his most most impressive quality, as well as being incredibly kind. So after all of his events, he always made time for people. He had a fantastic memory. He'd always remember who people were and make an effort to speak to them. And even the students, when he was on campus, he'd always allocate time for people to come up and take photos or discuss or raise issues with him. And that's who he was, a really genuine, kind Christian family man. And it's just so horrible what happened to him.
You yourself acknowledge that Charlie Kirk was a controversial figure. He was loved by so many, but many people did not agree with much of what he said. These are fractious and polarised times at the moment, aren't they, Jack? What do you think an organisation like yours can do to help bring people together at a time where, not just in the US, but here in the UK, it really feels like these are testing times?
Well, certainly, as I mentioned, Charlie tried to bridge divides with debate. That was one of the nice things. It's one of the nice things about Turning Point is I didn't agree with everything Charlie said. Charlie probably didn't agree with everything I believe. But we could debate, and we'd have that free speech to challenge, debate, and discuss. Obviously, we don't know the full motives, but I think everyone can presume why this happened. We're certainly worried in the UK. We've had death threats from people. We've had people suggesting that we should be targeted in the UK as sort of the British Charlie Kirks, and that's quite depressing. It's really sad to see all the abuse he's received online, and certainly from our point of view, say this had happened to a prominent left-wing activist, we wouldn't be out cheering. We'd be offering our condolences and support. And I think it is worrying how polarizing things have become. But the only way to bridge the divide is to do as Charlie did, to go out and speak to people and debate. And even if you walk away from each other disagreeing, you can still shake hands and have that basic level of respect. I think and it's something Charlie really emboldened with his activism.
Sorry, your line is breaking up a bit, Jack, but you did touch on something that's quite concerning that gets to the heart of some of the tensions at the moment. You say that since Charlie Kirk's death, your organisation has also received death threats here in the UK.
Yeah, so we've had people say online and highlight, oh, by the way, there's UK Turning Point, maybe someone should go after them. We've had people send us horrific abuse. We've had horrific sort of images of Charlie sent to us with laughing emojis. And it's really heartbreaking. Again, the internet isn't the real world, but it's certainly concerning that these people are out there and hold these extremist views.
OK. Jack Ross, thank you very much for sharing your thoughts and tributes, and of course your assessment of these current times as well. And of course, worrying to hear the threats that your organisation is facing as well. Do stay safe, Jack, and thanks for taking the time.